Welcome back to another episode of Sanders Aquatics. Tonight, we're going to show you 10 easy steps to breed just about any tetra or barb out there. Most of them breed about the same lines and do the same stuff. But tonight, I got to point out, we're wearing our Big Blue Kentucky against Alabama tonight. Coach Pope, you're doing great. Keep at it, buddy. You're doing a really good job with this squad. To the UK squad, y'all are killing it. Hope to see you in a championship. But we're going to move on here. We're going to go through and we're going to teach you guys about breeding barbs and tetras, basically. We've got ourselves a bunch of long fin black skirt tetras that we found. They were gorgeous fish, and we're going to go through and we're going to breed them tonight. But these guys do, a lot of the barbs and tetras breed the same way. Not every single one of them, but we're going to give you basically 10 steps that it's going to do just about any of them. Actually, Bentley's going to give them to you. Want to say hi, Bentley?
What's up, guys?
All right, so we're going to start out, Bentley. You want to give them tip number one?
Condition your fish.
Condition them? Like you want them out like running laps around the track and pushing weights and doing all that?
No, Dad. Need to feed them a high-protein diet.
Steak and eggs. No, fish don't eat steak and eggs. What you want to feed them, you want to go through and you want to feed them bloodworms, brine shrimp, things along those lines. Anything that's a real high protein, it's going to go through and get these guys up and running. And then we're going to move on. Step number two. What's step number two, Bentley?
Separate males and females.
What you usually want to do, you want to go through, you want to separate your males and females. Unfortunately, I don't have the tank space to go through and do that. I do have a lot of fish tanks, but I don't have enough tanks to go through and separate males and females. I've actually got Danny O's and my black skirts in the same tank and males and females in the same tank. If you're looking for a super duper high yield, that is the best way to do it. The females won't drop their eggs because these guys pretty much drop eggs on a daily basis. If you do that and you separate them, these females are going to get real good, fat and plump. They're almost going to look like a balloon molly. But moving on, we're going to go on here and we're going to go on to step number three. This is a pretty good trigger for these guys. What's step number three, Bentley?
Rainwater.
That's right. If you're having a hard time getting these guys to breed, and it's only certain ones like the red-eyed tetras, things along those lines, it seems to trigger them for whatever reason. You go through and you want to get them in rainwater. So to get them in rainwater, you want to take them outside on a walk. Do we hold the umbrella over them or?
No.
No. So
at all.
You want to like collect some rainwater from out there and then put it in the fish tank. That's what you want to do?
Yes.
So you take a little bit out and put some rainwater in there.
Definitely.
But it gets these guys up and going. It's just a neat little trick that we found seems to work a lot of times for going through and getting these guys up and running. But as far as like setting up the tank, what's a good step into setting up the tank? What's number 4?
The full filter?
Yeah, the filter. So we don't want to use a big hang on the back filter or a big canister filter. You need to use a sponge filter. Yeah. So that once these babies start populating, because we're going to want to breed them, we're going to breed them in the same tank that the babies are going to start to grow out in. And we're actually going to go through, we'll show you how we set our tank up. We'll take you through the process as we're setting it up. But any kind of sponge, kind of like what we have back here, you can use some other kinds of sponge filters, anything that the babies can't get sucked up into, and you don't have to worry about that. But like I said, we're going to keep them in the same setup. So what's step number 5, Bentley?
Separate the eggs and adults.
That's right. You need to keep the adults from getting to the eggs. So the adults are going to eat the eggs every time. They are an egg scattering fish, and you got to keep them separated. What's a good way to do? What do you think we're going to do tonight? I think I'm going to go with marbles. You think it's a good idea?
I think my way was more better, but on the old school and new school, but I think we can do on yours also.
You're right. You did win on the old school new school challenge. You should go back and watch that video. It was a pretty good one. But we're going to use marbles tonight. We're going to go through and we'll leave them in there. We're not actually going to go through and show the eggs in here this time because every time we pull the marbles out, we scatter a whole bunch of eggs and we miss a bunch, and it drives me bonkers. But I like being able to show you guys everything, but we're actually trying to get a clutch of these guys, a pretty serious clutch out of these. So, Bentley, what's step number 6? What's a good thing to have in the tank there with them?
Plants or spawning mops.
That's right. You want to use some kind of like Java moss, hornwort. We use a lot of hornwort here.
To trigger them, right?
Yes, that's what triggers them. Like you've seen with our tiger barbs,
Yep.
and when we bred the Danios, that's right where they focus all their eggs. Is they'll lay them right on top of there, and when it falls, it'll fall down, and it gets. You've seen a lot of it, and we've actually shown these folks quite a bit of it too.
Yeah.
Where it falls down and they can't get access to the eggs, so it's pretty neat. So, what's step number 7? You think?
Temperature.
That's right. You need the temperature of that water to be the same as the tank water that these guys are currently living in.
Yep, so the eggs can hatch.
That's right. So when the eggs hatch out, they're not coming out in really, really cold water, because most of them won't hatch out in really, really cold water. But when we set it up, we got heater inside the tank, and we'll have basically a sponge filter and all that stuff set up in there as well. But like I said, we'll walk you through how we set ours up here tonight. The next step, what do you think? Step number 8, rule number 8, what do you think here?
Time of day.
Time of day. Very important to triggering these guys. We have a benefit that most folks don't have. Our fish room's set up in our basement, and it is pitch black during the day. These guys don't know what time of day it is until we tell them what time of day it is. They can't see any light. There's no real natural light coming in down here. But most of your Tetras and Barbs, Danios, things along those lines, they're going to breed the first couple of hours of daylight. If you're not in our kind of position where you can do that, you can set the pairs inside the tank and basically cover it with a towel, black the tank out so they can't see anything. And you want to do that, let them sit overnight, get up the next morning, turn on the lights, uncover the tank, and go there. Within the first couple hours, you can sit there and have a couple cups of coffee and sit there and watch these guys sit there and breed. It's kind of wild to watch, especially when you get the full ones. It's like snowing in the tank. It's insane how many eggs these guys put out. So we've got the tank all set up. We got the time of day. We got everything structured. We got our eggs. They're popping out eggs like crazy. What's step number 9, you think?
Remove the parents.
That's right. You got to get these parents out of the tank. Because at this point, it's time to start letting these eggs go through and try to grow out and hatch out and do what they got to do. So we want to take basically our spawning mops and things out of the tank. We'll go through, and we're going to use marbles on this in this particular situation. So we're just going to leave them in there, and we'll go through and just let the guys grow out and come swimming out of the marbles, and we'll be able to feed them that way. Once they hatch out, we'll get the marbles out of the tank. But be able to get mom and dad back in with their school. Well, your best ratio, what we found, is basically a 1-to-1, especially when you're breeding the black skirt Tetras. These guys are 1-to-1 male to female ratio. Usually 2 pair in a tank will do pretty good. We're going to breed them in a small tank. It's going to be a small 5-gallon tank. We're going to steal water from this tank and put it straight in there, and just top this tank back off. But number 10, Bentley, what's the 10th most important factor here?
Condition the water.
That's right. You got to condition the water. I am guilty of this, unfortunately. These eggs usually hatch pretty quick. They're usually within 1 to 5 days, depending on what species you're breeding out. But I always seem to think, oh, these fish are going to hatch out in about a day or 2. These eggs won't fungus. Gets me every time. I did this. I lost several eggs here in the last Danio breeding video because I didn't condition the water. What we mean by that, get you some methylene blue. A drop or 2 of it goes very, very far. You can use almond leaves. Almond leaves actually work pretty well for conditioning water to go through and get them to where they won't fungus over on you. If you use a methylene blue, you got to get it out of there shortly after they start hatching. So you want to start cycling out, but you got to keep some pretty fresh, clean water in there for these guys as well. So we're going to take you along here. We're going to set up our tank here real quick. We'll show you what we're doing, how we're setting it up, so you can see an example of exactly how we're doing this. Here, come on, guys. We're going to move over. Pardon our mess here. It's on the other side of the fish room. It's not anywhere close to being finished, and we got a bunch of stuff over there, but it's where we got a small tank set up just to breed these guys. So come on with me here. We'll move on to the next thing. All right, so here is basically our setup that we have here. I haven't added the sponge filter yet to it here too, honestly, because the game's about to come on, and I'm really getting anxious to get over there and get going here. So we'll turn the game on, probably move the mama and papa over here in a few minutes. But we're going to go through and we're going to put a spawning mop in here. You're adding a spawning mop, just go through, squish all the air and stuff out of it. And all you really want this bad boy to do is go through and spread out across the bottom of the tank. We're going to bury it down there with a couple marbles. Try to anchor it down up underneath of them. Be enough to get these guys up and riled up. And then we're going to got ourselves a little bundle of hornwort. We're going to do kind of the same on the other side of the tank. And you don't want to leave these guys in there for more than about a day or so, because they're going to go through and they're going to get a little bit aggressive over there. Maybe we're going to get this thing to weigh down here for us. I wasn't doing it on a video. It had already been in there. But there you go. Pretty basic, simple setup. Got a little top there. Going to keep the heat trapped inside of there for us. Got the heater set up back there in the back. Keep the temperature regulated. And once we get to the point that we'll let the male and female, we'll put them in there tonight. They'll be able to stay in there overnight. We'll go through trigger daylight for them here in the morning. It is fortunately the weekend for me. I've worked too much, but we can go through and monitor these guys and watch them. So we'll do that. I'll probably sit and drink some coffee in the morning, sit there and watch them. Apparently my phone's going to go off. It's probably telling me the game's coming on. But anyway, we're going to go through. We'll let these guys sit overnight. I'll probably sit there and watch them breed here in the morning. They'll drop a bunch of eggs, and we'll get them back over there with the school of them. But I'll take the biggest, fattest female that you can get, and some of the better looking males. I'm really chasing the long fin version of these guys is what I'm after. I'm trying to get a good bunch of them out of here. This channel has been about helping people and trying to teach people how to breed, what we're doing, how we're doing. If you guys have some tips, maybe something you've done, more insights you want to put in on there, please comment. Tell us about it. Tell everybody about it. We'll go through and we'll do our best to go through and share it and put it out there in the world so that everybody's successful at this. We're having fun and sharing some wealth here, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to get back at it. Go Cats. But thanks again, guys, for watching Sanders Aquatics.
Like and subscribe.